So, is hip hop sexist? I'd like to expand the question a little bit and acknowledge the fact that hip hop is a product of our patriarchal society. So, every institution, every creation is then permeated with that aspect of male dominance. I think in asking a question as broad as is hip hop sexist, you need to have a comparison point. And so if we take another genre of music, let's say rock music, we can then draw parallels and see, what is the baseline? What is normal, right? So if we look at then the lyrics, both of them objectify women. Some are overtly sexual, some are benevolently sexist. Nevertheless, the idea that women are commodities to be lusted over, to be fantasized over, are prevalent. There are different ways in which, folks might express those ideas, but they're there nevertheless. And it's men deciding what is attractive, what they're attracted to, and how women should present themselves, which then brings us to the imagery. Absolutely is a product of the male gaze in both rock music and in hip hop. We can see that in music videos, whether it's the subservient kind of angelic figure in country music or if it's the video vixen. Either way, it's a fantasy, and it's a male fantasy. And then if we take the highest earners across both genres, it's men. If we look at the majority of entertainers in those industries, it's still men. And we have to then remind ourselves that music is an entertainment industry, and what sells? Sexism does, certainly. Sex and sexism. But it's not female-created images. Because we can take a look at somebody like Nicki Minaj, who is absolutely feminist, and outspokenly so. And her images, her lyrics, everything she does is unequivocally so. And there's so much backlash to when she released her Anaconda promo, and she was, crouched down in a thong, and all these people had such a response to it in the way that they did not when somebody like Miley Cyrus exposed herself, or the way that Iggy Azalea presents herself. There is of course this other incredibly important factor, which is race. And I think if you try to isolate simply hip hop as beats, as whatever it is, and not take into consideration who is producing this music, where was this culture created, and what are the values and sort of what are the images being projected? It's of success, it's of glamour, it's of idealism, and it features black people. It's a black dominated industry. And I think that makes a lot of white people very uncomfortable, because if we wanted to simply look at sexism in the music industry, and we wanted to simply isolate our conversation to the hip-hop genre, then we should be having a lot of conversations about Eminem, because his lyrics not only are sexist, they're incredibly violent, and he directs that violence and incites violence towards his mother, and towards Kim, who's his ex-wife, former partner, mother of his child. He's not subtle about this, but we're not having that conversation. We are having the conversation about, Waka Flocka and Trinidad James and Tyga, and that's not a coincidence, is it? And we're not having the conversation about Drake, because he's like this non-threatening light-skinned dude from Canada. But he's very sexist too. He's just a little more benevolently sexist. So we need to then have the conversation about race and what makes people uncomfortable, more so than in rock music or pop music is the fact that Black people are deciding how to express their sexuality. And there's so many stereotypes that vilify and characterize and demonize Black men and Black women for their sexuality, that it comes as no surprise that then the hip hop industry is critiqued for the same things. It's unoriginal, to be quite honest. So then let's take a step back from those conversations and let's ask ourselves, like, what are we really interested in? Is hip hop more sexist than other genres of music? I don't think so. I would like to know what a non-sexist genre of music would be. I'd like to know what a non-sexist form of entertainment looks like. And is it marketable? Probably not. So it comes down to that as well. What sells? Supply and demand. And quite honestly, people are very happy to consume sexist imagery.